What is up, Endgame fam? Thanks for joining me on Wednesday for our midweek question and answer session. We're going to talk everything fantasy baseball, everything that matters, and I'm here to answer your questions live. Got a few already lined up, so I don't want to waste too much time. But first, let's just talk about what's going on since our last live stream on Sunday. We talked about the two-start streamers, and it's been a busy, I feel like, week and a half since our last midweek check-in because I usually do the beat the breakout on Tuesday, and I talk about all the prospects I feel like you need to stash. And I mean, it's like a nonstop parade, basically, this last 2 weeks, week and a half. And so trying to keep up with it, but man, it's a good time to be a baseball fan, not just fantasy baseball player, because it's nice to see all these young players getting a shot finally. It was a good thing that they finally came up with these incentives and, try to actually make teams want to bring up their prospects early in the season, not play these service time manipulation games and wait and purposely keep them back like we had seen before the last couple of years. So there's one good thing MLB has done lately, so that's nice. And yeah, I mean, just so many of these players that now we got to figure out who do we pick up and what do we do with them. So Nick Kurtz just got the call, and he was the one I think everyone's the most excited about, other than Roman Anthony, who still hasn't gotten the call, and he's next up. You got to think it's not long. He's the one you definitely want to definitely keep looking for and maybe stash again if you haven't already. Also crazy to me how quickly these big prospects get added. I mean, Kurtz was already at almost 20% before his call up, and it was, assumed he might get called up quickly, but we didn't know for sure. You never know for sure. And now already almost half owned in all fantasy leagues. At least I'm looking at Yahoo. That's the one that's the most common. Probably, I think, the best to gauge the competitive, not crazy hardcore, but also not casual fantasy baseball player, like the majority, I would say. And it's a little bit under 50%. And I mean, it's not surprising, but again, it's not the way it used to be. It used to be these prospects, you kind of have to wait, and some people would see what they would do. No, people are just jumping all over them now. And so that's why you've got to be quick. You've got to get ahead of the game. So good on you if you did. If you did get Nick Kurtz, I mean, he hasn't even played yet. We're hopefully going to see him very, very soon. But before even playing a game, already half owned. So Chandler Simpson was the other one I saw in my TGFBI league, which is the Great Fantasy Baseball Invitational. It's kind of a industry analyst league, whatever you want to call it. And Frank, I know that you're on here. You play NFBC. Anybody who plays NFBC, it's a 15-teamer. Is crazy competitive. You got $1,000 fab budget, and in my TGFBI league this past weekend, where the fab bids run, he went for $222, I believe. So if you do the quick math, that's 22% of the yearly budget. Look, if he winds up stealing 50 plus bases, yeah, that would have been worth it. And he very well may. I mean, we'll see. And then that's also going to be interesting when we got a couple of catchers who just came up. We have Augustin Ramirez, Marlins. Very nice, very exciting times. They're actually not doing that badly either. I'm not kidding myself. They're not making the playoffs or anything like that, but they're not completely miserable. And Edgar Caro for the White Sox. They're still completely miserable. But it's nice to see these players getting a shot. Augustin Ramirez and Edgar Caro are going to go for a fair amount in those NFBC two catcher leagues. If you're in two catcher league, it's must add. But Ramirez, man, he's off to a nice start, which is also nice to see. Maybe he does get everyday playing time. I mean, who knows? I learned to be cynical about the Marlins, but yeah, he started right away, and he might not just play against lefties. He probably will be given a chance to just be the everyday guy. Hopefully that's what happens. So those are some players I did talk about as well. It's not always peaches and cream for these rookies. Zach Veen just got sent back down. I mean, he was one of the big prospects everybody was excited for. Didn't work out. Now, he didn't really get that much time, but still, it was a little over a week, and he could barely scratch out a hit. Just didn't look ready, so he'll get sent down. He'll be back up. I'm almost positive. How long, it really depends how he responds. But yeah, just keep an eye on Zach Veen. I think it's really interesting that Jordan Beck got called back up. He was down. Remember, he started the season as their starting right fielder. He played for a while. He was okay, did a little bit something, but they sent him down, brought Veen up, and now they flip-flopped already. Rockies making moves. But again, I like it. It's nice to see the Rockies actually being active and giving their young players a chance. They have some good young players. Just got to get them up. And then Adal Amador, who can't buy a hit either. He'll probably get sent back down pretty soon, but at least he's getting a shot. And then Chase Dollander, I'm giving one more shot. I actually still have him on my roster in our endgame head-to-head league. I'm going to actually keep him out there in my starting lineup because he gets KC, and I don't think that's too bad of a matchup. So we'll see. I'm going to give him one more chance, and if not, he's getting sent back down. He's getting the axe on my fantasy rosters. And then real quickly, I want to just also mention Caleb Durbin. Didn't talk about on the video this week. Kind of a little more under the radar prospect because he's going to get a shot for the Brewers to hold down one of their infield spots, most likely third base. It's been like a revolving door there the last couple of years for the Brewers. But Durbin is someone who might be interesting, but the guy I'm really the most excited about, I know I've talked about him, but I'm just going to say Luke Keyshaw of the Twins. Guy can hit. He's already hitting. He's already stolen a couple of bases. Yeah, get Luke Keyshaw. I mean, that's the guy who you don't have to spend up all your budget on and can still get, and he'll probably help you, I would think, more than all of these others. I mean, I'm not going to put him ahead of Kurtz. I think he could be just as productive overall, probably more than Simpson, because no, he won't steal as many bases, but better average, better in all the other categories. So I like him better. Ramirez is the only one maybe, but that's mainly because he's a catcher. So there you go. A lot of prospects that you should be interested in, but again, you don't have to get them all. It's not Pokemon. You don't have to add every rookie that comes up. You need to know who's going to actually help your team, and timing is everything. So keep that in mind as I keep saying in my videos. Also, quick note before we get to the questions, the Mets did make some moves today. Not a lot really going on other than the Kurtz call-up early this week, but just so you know, Francisco Alvarez, their catcher, and Jeff McNeil, second base / outfield now, potentially. He is also back. McNeil, I really don't think should interest you much for fantasy. I mean, we know what he is at this point. He hasn't been great lately. He's just kind of a desperation, utility bench. No, just don't pick up McNeil. I have no interest in McNeil. But Francisco Alvarez could be worth adding at catcher. So keep that in mind. He's back. That's the only thing that shakes up the Mets roster, really, because if you look at their lineup, like including the lineup today, nothing changes, I don't think, going forward, except you can swap out Alvarez for Singer or whoever else they have at catcher. So Alvarez is the catcher. McNeil will play a little bit of second instead of Beatty. Same thing. Their outfield situation is not going to change. So that's that. All right. Let's get to your questions. Not make you wait much longer because Christian Diaz is first and got that super chat. Appreciate you, Christian. Okay, so real quick, you guys already know how this goes because I think most of y'all are returning viewers, but anybody who isn't, if you're new here, welcome. Appreciate you being on here. If you drop a super chat, guarantee your question will be posted, and also it will jump to the front of the line. So we'll prioritize those. If you want to do that, just for that reason, you don't feel like waiting or just want to say thanks, then yeah, I'll take it. I appreciate it. Christian, what's up? All right, so 12 team head-to-head Yahoo. Looking to drop Jose Soriano. I'm not taking the L on that yet. I know he was not good yesterday, but it's been mixed, right? He had 2 good starts, 2 not so good starts. I still believe he has at least streaming value. We'll see. But anyways, I don't blame you. You can drop him. He's not a must hold. I'm not going to go that far. Now you got Festa, Haney, or Roop. I have Festa right now in the Endgame League. And so I think Festa is of course, somewhat risky. I mean, we know another young pitcher, and he hasn't gone deep in either of his first couple of starts, but it's the White Sox, so we'll see how he does. So far, I'm looking right now. Actually, he's already in the bottom of the third inning, so you can't use him tonight. It's too late for that. But we'll see. 3 innings, 4 Ks, hasn't given up a run yet. It's the White Sox. So that's why I picked him up, because it's the White Sox. But also, I believe in the talent. I've talked about Festa quite a bit. So let's see how tonight goes. And if it's promising, his next scheduled start could be against the Angels. They've cooled down. That would be a pretty good matchup. So I think Festa is the most interesting here. Roop is a guy I haven't quite completely come around on yet. The strikeout numbers are pretty promising, but he hasn't really been limiting damage. I think he's fine. I prefer Festa overall. I mean, it's going to be close between those two. And then let's see, Haney. Haney's also, despite being a very, very veteran pitcher, he's also pretty volatile. He feels like he's all or nothing. So I don't know. I'm going to say if tonight goes well, I would pick up Festa, and if it doesn't, if he unravels here in the next couple innings, I'd go Roop. And sadly, yes, you can, and as they should, but you can drop Soriano. All right, let's actually get to Frank, because I did call you by name a little earlier. What is up here? You're winning bids. All right, I just talked about it. So in my league, Simpson went for 222, and his went for 189. Mervis, wow. Well, you know what? Somebody's a believer in Mervis. I'll tell you what. This is what makes it so hard with young players. Is you don't know what's going to stick and what isn't, right? If it's just kind of like a flash in the pan, or if it's the start of something. You don't know. With Mervis, I mean, I hate to say it, but again, this isn't just me being a cynical Marlins fan. This is, just knowing the type of profile he has. When a guy who is really a slugger starts to have one of those weeks where he's seeing the ball well and he tees off and he gets you a few home runs in a span of 7 to 10 days, usually after that comes the fall, right? And that's kind of what we've seen with Mervis is, he got that out of his system, and now he's back to being Matt Mervis. And look, he'll probably have another streak like this at some point again. I mean, he did actually hit a home run today, but before that, we had gone a week without. It's feast or famine with a guy like this. The thing with Mervis is that's what you're getting the home runs. There's not a lot of RBIs coming with those home runs, and of course, the batting average isn't great. So if you're purely looking for a boost in that category, just home runs, and that means maybe you're trying to catch up in your Roto League, or you just need some help in your weekly league, it's fine. It's risky. I'm also going to have to look at the schedule if it's for that week or for that, short period. Are they going to be facing a bunch of righties, because he might be sitting against lefties? So I don't know. To me, that's a lot to put on a guy like Mervis. But anyways, Durbin, we'll see. I don't know. Keyshaw, I think that might be a steal. So smart fab bids. We talked about this last time, right? There's a difference between a winning bid and a smart bid. But let me just tell you, and I hope that any of the people in my league are not watching this. I really doubt they are, because they are probably much busier, too busy to be doing, and they have their own shows. And I'm talking about, because I'm guys like Ryan Bloomfield, Derek Van Riper, anybody who knows, guys like that. Yeah, that's who I'm competing with. So if I want to get a Nick Kurtz in a league like that, I'm going to have to probably, think about it. Simpson, 20 upside. Well, okay, 18 in yours, 22% in mine. I could see Nick Kurtz going for close to half, like blowing half the budget. I might do it because I really feel like this could be, your AL Rookie of the Year, potentially. Of course, anybody could be right now. So saying that means nothing, but I didn't go big on Simpson because he's more of a one category guy. I know runs and maybe average. Okay, but still, that's what you're banking on is the steals. But Kurtz could be a guy who helps you in everything but steals. So I might go crazy on this one. Nick Kurtz in my NFBC leagues, I might mess around and spend in the 300s. And I still might not get him. I mean, who knows? Somebody might spend $500 to get him. And what can you do, right? So I don't know if I'll make a smart bid on Kurtz, but I'm going to make an aggressive bid because I usually don't get too crazy aggressive with individual players in those formats. And Augustin Ramirez, same thing. 2-catcher league. It's so tough. And I liked my catchers until Connor Wong got hurt. So, yeah, I won't go insane for Ramirez, but I'll be aggressive. So this week, I'm going to do what I didn't do last week, Frank. I'm going to go aggressive here, and I think it's okay for guys that you really feel good about. I think that's fine. All right, back-to-back. What's up? Also a 12-teamer loaded at outfield. Must be nice. How deep? And now deep. Ooh, oh, very nice. Got Kurtz. Okay. So what are we doing here? Are we looking to sell? I'll tell you what I would do is I'm not even entertaining selling Carroll or Wood. Just no point. You're not upgrading there at any point. There's no reason. You got a lot of athletics, which is not bad this year. But maybe we can move one of them. I think Rooker would be the one I'm the most nervous about because, again, he leans a little bit too heavy toward the power categories. Butler can get you steals too. And Rooker's the one a little older. He did have that elbow issue, just a little riskier overall, if you know what I mean. So I think Rooker is the one I might try to move and keep Nimmo as kind of your safe backup. As far as first base, I wouldn't do anything crazy because, again, we can just assume that Kurtz is going to be amazing, but it doesn't mean he will be amazing. So I would stand pat there for now, but I think I might try to move Rooker. That's what I would do. And then who to target? Well, check the buy low video. Just did the buy low today. I'm chasing. Now, I know you don't want to necessarily go after an injured pitcher. I mentioned Spencer Strider. If you can't afford to wait, you need help right now. That doesn't help you. Okay, fine. I'm okay going after Chris Sale. I am going after him in a league or two. I said I'm not actively trying to get him wherever I can, but if I can buy low, I always will do it. Dylan Cease, cover boy. I think you can get Dylan Cease for a fair price. I mean, it depends on who's got him, but his numbers are ugly and people panic easily. So I would do either of those guys, Sale or Cease, for a guy like Rooker, who I think that's fair. I think it is. And if someone doesn't think it's fair, well, that's fine. Cole Reagans would probably be the lowest I would go then for a guy like Rooker. Again, you're trying to buy low, right? So you could maybe get Cole Reagans for Rooker straight up, and then I would do that too. All right. Zoomer Woomer. What is up? Dynasty. I don't get too many Dynasty questions. I just traded away a lot of pitching to beef up my batting, and now I'm looking for some buy low pitchers. Okay, well, I won't repeat the names I just mentioned. So obviously those are some buy lows, but you're talking Dynasty. We want to get younger, including even prospects. So you're not just looking for immediate help. You're looking for just talent. That's a good mindset. So I think it's funny. You just trade away a lot of pitching. Now you're trying to trade for pitching. But again, if you can buy low, you always want to do that. So who can you get as a buy low that is young? Now, in the video, I did also mention Ryan Pepio. Again, buy low. I know he hasn't been great. That's the point. That's why you can get him low. So that's someone I'm looking for. I think Taj Bradley as well, the guy I talked about. Now, I don't know how deep your league is as far as rosters. I know you're saying it's a 12-teamer, but again, not every league is built the same. Some have crazy deep rosters with benches, and you can stash in multiple NA spots, minor spots, and some don't. So it really depends how heavy you can go into stashing those players. If so, then yeah, I will load up on my prospects. But remember, stashing pitching prospects is always a very tricky proposition. So let's see, buy low. I'm kind of going to go through the list and see who sticks out here. Um, besides those guys I just mentioned. Low, low, low. That's actually worth, well, if you're willing to wait and kind of get the injury discount, I am still a big Spencer Arrighetti fan. You're not going to see him for several weeks, right? But that's why he's a buy low. So if you're just looking to upgrade talent wise, I'm good with that. I do still think, even though he's about to come back, Jack Leiter, he was good his first two starts, but not amazing, right? Some people are still not quite sure, right? You're not sold, and you shouldn't be sold on him yet because he's just two good starts. So I'd be willing to invest in a guy like Jack Leiter, who I'm a big believer in. I know some people have talked about Yuri Perez for the Marlins. We will see him at some point midseason. I mean, that is super risky, super risky. Might be worth it, but look, if you can get him for a fair price, then yeah, that's a risk that you could take. Just know you might be left with nothing at some point. So Perez would be one. Prospects, I mean, I still like Logan Henderson for the Brewers, but now I think the word is out on him after that one start, even though he got sent down. But now people have seen it. So those are some names that come to mind. If I think any others real quick, I'll tell you, but then I'm probably gonna move on. I mean, Zebby Matthews of the Twins, a lot of people expecting him to get called up soon. I don't know how low of a buy he is because he's a known commodity, but that's somebody that you could potentially go after. All right, let's get on to Eddie. Eddie Buzz, what is up, Eddie? Glad you're here. Wow, appreciate it. Making us, I hope so. Look, that's my goal, right? I want to try to help you all out, and I'll tell you honestly, because I can be honest with you guys, I can live vicariously through your winnings because, as always, every year I take on way too many teams, and I don't always have time to check my lineups because I'm busy doing research and recording and editing and all this stuff. It helps me because I feel a lot more productive. I spend my time trying to make sure I give the advice and tell you all what I think you should do, as opposed to spending that time pouring into my own team. You know what I mean? Like, I've been there, I've done that. So you guys keep winning. That's what I'm going for. All right. Ganji, would you drop Manzardo for Kurtz? Oh, now that's tough because, okay, well, so first of all, yes, I think Kurtz right now is a priority add. That's tough because, last week, waiver wire, I said pick up Manzardo, and that seemed a little weird at the time because he had become one of the more dropped players as far as offensive players for the previous week because he was getting cold and his batting average dropped to like 220 something. If you picked him up, then you did the smart thing because guess what? He's going back on another homer binge. So I want to keep Manzardo. I like Manzardo, and I will continue to like Manzardo. But man, if Kurtz is out there, I think you just got to pick him up. I really wish you could drop somebody else. Is there somebody else you can drop? If not, then I guess you got to do it. Paul Matthews got Kurtz in the NA spot. Not for long. Now he's going to debut. Do I drop Simeon or Rasmussen or Lodolo? Well, Simeon, I know everybody wants to drop, and I don't blame you, but I'm going to drop one of those pitchers instead. Simeon did actually do something offensively just yesterday. So he's probably snapping out of it. Look, we're not seeing peak Simeon ever again, but he's still a very serviceable second baseman. I like Rasmussen. Lodolo is going to be up and down. Look, Lodolo, honestly, I view more as just kind of a high-end streamer or maybe a back-end rotation guy who's going to give you some volatility, which is fine. But at the end of the day, I don't think he's going to wind up having a special season. There's just too much risk in the way he pitches. So I'm going to say I would drop Lodolo. That's me. Jared Scruggs, give Whoa. Okay, hold on. This is a couple of things. So, should I pull the trigger on this trade? You're already throwing out Bobby Witt there. Give Bobby Witt in some places the #1 overall pick, okay, and Stott, to give Myers. Which Myers are we talking? I got to know which Myers this is, because you said Myers. My immediately thought was Jake Myers, Tobias Myers. If it's Max Meyer, that's completely different. All right, get rid of the S there. Okay, Soderstrom and Flaherty. I don't think that is enough for Bobby Witt. If it is Max Meyer that you mean, I still don't think that's enough, but that might make me at least pause for a second. But yeah, okay, it is Max Meyer. Okay, well, I'm glad it's not Tobias Myers. Yeah, so Meyer and Flair. Look, Meyer has been great. I get it. Myers looks amazing. If Flaherty is solid, even if he's not last year's Flaherty. Soderstrom has been great. I just don't know. For Bobby Witt, I don't think so. I think you need at least one of those guys needs to be a borderline star player. You're giving up, arguably, okay, top 3. I'm not going to argue Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani, whatever. You're giving up one of the best players in all of fantasy. You're getting good players, but you're not getting enough. I don't think it's enough. Sorry. I mean, I get why it's tempting. It is. Max Meyer has looked great, but I don't think that's enough for Bobby Witt. All right, let's get to Eddie Buzz again in deep leagues. Okay. So here are some names here. Cade Horton. I was on Cade Horton last year, and he got hurt pretty quickly. Joe Boyle. Where's Uncle Ted at? Uncle Ted is a fan of Joe Boyle. I'm a fan of the fastball and the stuff, but man, Joe Boyle would need to really, really show something before I buy into him, because they obviously don't have enough confidence to even keep him in the majors. And sure, maybe Tampa Bay does their thing and turns him into an all-star. Let's see it. Let's see it first. The stuff is only so good as the control, right? This guy has posted like ridiculous walk rates, like 15, 18%. So he's probably best suited as a reliever. Okay, Tim Elko, Bryce Eldridge. Yeah, Eldridge is big, kind of similar Kurtz-like, but he's been hurt. I know in the minors he's been bothered by something. Luis Campusano, yeah, bust last year. I liked him last year too. Brady House, maybe. De Los Santos, Painter, of course, Mizorowski. So yeah, Painter at some point mid-season we can entertain stashing him. It's too early. I mean, he is basically now the #1 prospect as far as pitchers go. And then Mizorowski is kind of like upscale version of Joe Boyle. Great stuff, 100+ mile per hour fastball, but just doesn't know where the strike zone is half the time. So we'll see. Huey, what is up? Categories. All right, let's talk Noelvi Marte. So that first game where he went crazy and got like the 5 or 6 hits and then, homered, I took that with a huge grain of salt, because everybody in Cincinnati got like 5 hits that game. But then he homered again. It's like, okay, maybe there's something here. Now, I'm not completely buying back into post PED Noelvi just yet, but I'm going to, full transparency, I did pick him up in our league. I did that because Luis Arias went on the IL, and so I needed to add somebody. I shifted Jazz to second, and I needed a third baseman. So I was like, well, why not? I'll take a chance on Noelvi Marte. It got me a home run. So I'm intrigued. Am I going to tell you to pick him up in 2 days? I might. We'll see. But I think I still prefer Keyshaw, because I know he is a good hitter. Like, he's always been a good hitter. Less risk here. So, and we know he's going to be starting. The thing is, Marte, once they get some guys back and healthy again, or he slumps, he might be back down in the minors. He might be on the bench. Luke Keyshaw, as long as he doesn't go into a ridiculous slump, is probably going to play every day, because the Twins literally have nobody else to put out there on the field. They cannot keep, an infield healthy. So Look, I like Keyshaw. It's no LV is interesting, but I prefer Keyshaw. All right. What about Hop right after Easter? Drop Ronaldo Lopez, yes. Or Manea. Yeah, I mean, Lopez you can drop. Who knows when he's coming back? Manea, you're still going to have to wait a little while. Might be late May, early June before we see him. If you need the IL spot, I don't think he's a must hold. You know what I mean? But or if you're only picking one of those, I would drop Lopez. All right. Oh, good point. Talking about catchers here. Tyler Stevenson is also, speaking of the Reds, set to come back pretty soon. Not a guy I'm running out to add between Stevenson and Alvarez. If you're looking for help at catcher, I'll just tell you that. If you're looking for help, which you can now get, I would prefer Alvarez to Stevenson. And look, now if you're in a one catcher league, you have a plethora of options because Augustin Ramirez looks like he might be good enough to add and roll with. I mean, again, it's very early for me to say that, but it's possible. And people are dropping Yanair Diaz. Some people want to drop Sal Perez. So you're going to have a lot of catcher options pretty soon. Yeah. What is up? Carl is in the house, wants to sell high on Bueller. I mean, if you can actually sell, like get something for him, go for it. Maybe offload Luis Castillo. I'm definitely going to tell you to do that. Who should I shoot for? Would Strider be fair? Is it doable? I mean, yeah, it's doable because Castillo hasn't been so bad that people are panicked on him. I think I'm worried about him more than most because I've seen the slow year after year trends, as I talked about on the video. I don't think he's going to be like. There's not going to be a point in the season where I think people are just dropping him to get rid of him. Like, I don't think his ERA is going to get in the 6 and 7, like to that range. But I think you're going to look at the end of the year and say, man, Luis Castillo wasn't that great. And he still has that name value. If you put those two together, I mean, hell, maybe even just Castillo for Strider. I mean, try that first. Let's do it. I think you could do that. I think it's fair. And then thoughts on Spencer Steer. Yeah, nobody really wanted Steer on draft day because he was injured, of course, preseason. We knew it would be a slow recovery, but he's also a guy, he's just not really a sure thing. There's 1 year he came out with this power outburst and like, oh, this guy's a 30 home run hitter. But then, the power kind of went away, but then all of a sudden he was stealing bases. Like, oh, okay, this guy can help us with steals too, and the power can come back. But I don't know. He's also a guy that I don't feel he's not in the circle of trust. Let's put it that way. There's not many Reds that are, but yeah. If you can keep him as a utility type player, by that I mean I don't want to count on him in my lineup every single day. And if you have him rostered, I think that's fine because then you can slot him in, wherever he qualifies. Used to be second, third, and outfield. Let me see if that's still the case because they change everything on Yahoo. Well, see, now it's only first and outfield. It makes him a little less less valuable. So he's okay if you don't expect too much out of him. I would just put it that way. And then Yui wants to know about Paris. Yeah, Paris. That we knew that was gonna happen. He had a very nice first 2 weeks, and good for him. Like, give me Keyshaw. All right, Ryan C. A big predicament. Got Strider and Snell in the IL. Yeah, and I hate to tell you, of course, Ryan, you might already know this. Just saw today with Blake Snell. They basically said don't expect to see him anytime soon. It's not what you want to hear. His season's not over, but it's not an imminent return. So who do you want to pick up at pitcher? I mean, okay, let's see. Thank you for saying who's available. Oh, wait. These guys are all on your waiver wire? Like all of these guys? Okay, so you're not in a big predicament. You are totally fine here. You definitely want to pick up Max Meyer if he's available. That would be my first choice. Number two, wow. um, I like Brian Wu still probably the next best. I would go Wu, and I did just talk about Tanner Bibby or Bybee. Someone said it was Bybee. That doesn't make sense phonetically to me, but that doesn't mean it's not true. I think that he is going to start to get better as we just saw. So I think I would put him next. It is Bybee. Oh, I'm glad I knew that now. I like Gore too. How can you go wrong with a guy who's leading the majors in strikeouts? But if I had to rank them, I would say Meyer, Bybee, Wu. No, Meyer, Wu, Bybee, Gore, and then May. May just got blown up, but he's still going to be good. So, man, you got plenty of options. You're good. You're actually very good. Is Giancarlo Stanton good to stash now? There's no point. That he's done. Is both his elbows. He's not playing anytime soon. So don't even worry. Don't spend any more time worrying about Stanton. All right. So Satch says Framber Valdez just got dropped. You want to pick him up? Yes, definitely pick him up. Wow. But you got to drop one of those guys. I don't want to drop any of those guys. I mean, still, I'm not giving up. No, Bryce Miller's too good. I'm not dropping Bryce Miller. Of course, you don't want to drop Meyer. Look, I will say if you can, if it's possible, I don't know if you can try to swing a deal before the waiver, claim goes through for Framber, or if you don't have waivers, maybe it's free agent, you just have to right now pick someone to drop. If I had to pick someone to drop, honestly, I would probably still pick Bubic. But if you can try to sell for whatever you can get, Tyler Mahle, or package Mahle and Bubic for something, and then just pick up Framber. That's what I would do. So yeah, Framber is not a guy who should be dropped. Okay, Ryan has another problem. Now that's a problem. I do not want to drop PCA. I love PCA. The steals were always going to be in play. Now he's hitting for power. The average is pretty good at 276 last time I saw. Oh, man, Ryan, this must be a shallow league. This is why we hate shallow leagues. Well, I honestly, I want to see who else you got. If PCA is your worst hitter, I guess you can drop him. But man, that is rough. So Paul Matthews wants to know between Augustin Ramirez and Francisco Alvarez, if you had to pick, who do you go with? That's actually a really good question, Paul, because Augustin Ramirez is not quite the same exact type of player as Francisco Alvarez. Alvarez is really just it's your typical slugging catcher, right? He'll get you some home runs. Don't expect a great batting average. Ramirez is a little more nimble. He's not as good defensively, which when you hear of a catcher moving potentially to first base, you think that's because the guy is not very athletic, right? He's not good defensively, and that's not really like Augustin Ramirez is definitely a better hitter than he is a catcher defensively. But he isn't just one of those big, like, hulking slugger types that can't move and they're going to put him as a statue at first base. It's because his arm isn't as good. Like Alvarez has a cannon. He's got a good arm and he can play the position. Ramirez is serviceable there, but he's also not just a slugger. He'll get you some power, but he'll hit for average more so than Alvarez. He can even swipe a bag like we saw the other day. So for that reason, I think it's too soon for me to just say Ramirez over Alvarez, but right now I would go with Ramirez and see what he does. And if he's serviceable for you, if he's cutting it, you just keep going with him. And if not, I doubt that there won't be somebody who's comparable to Alvarez on waivers that you could use at catcher. if that makes sense. All right, let's so playing catch up here. I'll try to get to as many questions as we can. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I didn't see this until just now. Anthony got the super chat in. Appreciate it as always, Anthony. You give way too much credit. I spend a lot of time on Baseball Savant, which is why I know my stats. But yeah, always appreciate you. All right. So the question here is: do you think Luis Rengifo has crashed, or does he pick it up? That's a really good one. Now, Rengifo is a guy that I didn't go all in on this preseason, mainly because I was worried about the injury. We didn't know his readiness come opening day. I actually thought he might miss time. He actually didn't wind up really missing time. He was ready, but he just hasn't done a lot. So now you got to wonder, is he still kind of being nagged by the injury? I mean, he's always got something, right? It's like the hamstring, right? That was the issue last year. It was also, I think, a groin issue, and now it was like a tooth. Or I think it's a lot of that kind of thing, right? The guy is just having a hard time staying in one piece. So I'm not giving up on him long term. I think he's usable, but yeah, the numbers aren't great. I don't think he's somebody you have to play every single day, right? Second base, third base, that's nice that you can have that flexibility, but I think we should probably view him more as like a bench/utility player until he starts to heat up. Because the Angels, remember, they went through a real hot streak offensively. Got everybody, getting into the action, but not him, right? Rengifo wasn't really there. I think he's just banged up a lot. So he might pick it up, but I think we're going to have to be patient here. Or you don't have to be patient. You can cut him. I mean, nobody's going to rush out to pick him up if you do. And then Eddie, I appreciate you. What can I say? A bargain. Let's see, $5 an hour advice. Yeah, that feels fair to me. All right. And also, I'll get you for your tip, your $5 tip. I'll allow some Joe Boyle propaganda. His pitching lights out in Durham. I mean, it's true. Hey, deep sleeper in Tampa. Maybe he turns it around. I believe, but the Rays got to believe first. All right, let's see who's next. Tribal. Yes, actually, I'm glad you mentioned that. I forgot to say on the top of the show. So Corey Seager, just today, if you didn't know, back in the IL, his home away from home. So Seager is going to be out. Who knows how long? I already have Yuri Perez and Grayson Rodriguez. Okay, so the question here is really about Grayson Rodriguez. So I checked in. Despite telling myself I'm not going to draft injured pitchers ever, sometimes you make an exception if you feel like it's worth it. So I took a chance in a couple leagues on George Kirby, and we'll see because he's now throwing. He could be back, hopefully early May, not mid-May, but he'll be back. The only reason I took Grayson Rodriguez is not just because I'm usually irrationally high on Grayson Rodriguez, but he fell to the point where, like, okay, this could be a bargain. This is not, this is not going to cost me too much. I mean, in one draft, I think he was like, I got him like pick 180 or something. I'm like, this is fine. This is not looking fine because what we just read today, what I just saw today was that he's not going to be everywhere. He's not anywhere close to starting a throwing program. He's going to be out several weeks before he even starts to throw. And then it's like spring training all over again. So long story short, Grayson Rodriguez, July is like best case. I think you can drop Grayson Rodriguez. If you can stash him in IL, it's okay, but I just don't know if it's worth it. Yeah, dropped Tracy. Micah saying he dropped Grayson a few days ago. I know. I was waiting for word on the second opinion, but just the fact he needed a second opinion tells you what you need to know. So even if he returns at some point this year, do you need him sitting on your bench, clogging up your IL spot for 2-3 months? Like, you don't. So I'm gonna have to make the sad decision now to go through all my leagues and see where I have him and drop him if I need to. Okay, I think good question. So now that Kurtz is up, who's the odd man out? It's not Soderstrom. We know this, and I had to clarify that because Soderstrom is, catcher turned first base, and we just discussed that happening. So Soderstrom had been the first baseman, but they're looking at moving him to, I think they talked about third base and then maybe outfield and of course DH. And so he's going to kind of bounce around and it doesn't really matter. They're going to find a way to just keep him in the lineup. And then if he's DHing, maybe Rooker plays some outfield. They're just going to kind of figure that out. So the odd man out here, it's probably Miguel Andujar, who had been playing right field. So if Rooker gets more right field action, and that means Andujar is on the bench, which is totally fine. Seth Brown was really more just kind of a bench bat anyways, but his path to at bats is pretty much gone. So yeah, this doesn't really mess them up too much in terms of fantasy relevant players. So because the third base, they don't really have anybody significant there anyways. So that's the good news. Nobody's really, I guess, technically losing their job here. All right, Frank, looking for validation. Drafted Brian Wu, check. Sonny Gray, that's fine. He'll be fine. Flaherty, Rodon, Waka. Well, I don't love Waka. He's just a guy. Combined $52 for those pitchers. Well, I'll validate in that format your cost per arm. I think this was a good budget staff. Now, obviously, you don't have an ace, right? That's the only thing. You don't have a frontline pitcher, but that's what the waiver wire is for. Maybe some trades, who knows? But look, it's a deep league. Look, and also here's the thing: you didn't take on that risk of getting one of those pitchers. I can't say early because this is an auction, but you didn't overspend. You know what I mean? To get one of these injured pitchers. So it definitely could have gone worse. Evan says somebody just dropped Joe Ryan. It must be a shallow league. Ooh, I would say pick him up. You can't drop Luzardo the way he's pitching, and I love Chris Sanchez. I mean, this is where I would say, could you make a trade? Easier said than done. No, I don't want to drop. If it's a shallow league, I really don't want to drop either of those two guys. And I like Joe Ryan too. But Chris Sanchez also did just get some sort of an injury. I think he's just day to day, but keep that in mind. Okay, James Coffey, welcome back. Week to week categories. Would you drop Chris Sanchez or Seth Lugo? So here we go. Somebody dropped Spencer Strider. This is what I talk about. I call him a buy low, and some people will do this. They will drop him. You got to pick up Spencer Strider. He's going to be back. It's not his arm. It's his hamstring. I'm okay dropping Seth Lugo. Lugo is okay, but he's not going to do what he did last year. So, and look, here's the thing too. Strider's on the IL. I'm hoping that you can put him on your IL spot. Maybe you don't have to drop anybody. So that would be nice. All right, let's see. Don't want to keep people waiting too long. What about Durf Boy? Welcome back. What should you do with Gunner? Nothing. Keep him in your lineup. Remember, he started out the season injured. It's going to take him time to get to midseason form. You just wait it out. You're just going to have to wait it out here. I think he'll be okay. Oh, interesting. I put this up. Eddie saying that Marcelo Mayer playing second base. I also had heard that Vaughn Grissom, guy we all forgot about, has been lighting it up in the minors. I don't think it matters. Christian Campbell's pretty much got that job. So I'm not sure why they're even putting Marcelo Mayer at second base. But yeah, the Red Sox are finally picking up. And I'm just going to say this. Trevor Story, calling him a league winner sounded crazy. And I got some comments for that. It's not looking too crazy right now. So I'm pretty happy that that's panning out. I didn't draft as much Story as I probably should have based on what I said about Story, but yeah, that Red Sox infield, other than Tristan Casas, he's the one who has not panned out, but they're looking pretty good now. Let's see. That's crazy. So what's up, Trey Alexander? Seeing people are dropping Framber left and right. That is crazy considering the kind of season that he not only had last year, but that he's had. This is not a guy who came out of nowhere. This is total over. Hey, his season ERA is 4.50, and we're dropping him left and right. Like, why are people dropping Framber Valdez? Is there something I don't know about? Like, honestly, did something happen? If he can drop, then you pick him up. That's all I'm going to say. All right. Let's see. What else? All right. This is funny that you asked us, Frank. Are you worried about Trey Turner? You know who's worried about Trey Turner? And I should say sick of Trey Turner is Chris, who obviously couldn't make it tonight. But in our league, the one league where Chris plays, he has Trey Turner. He drafted Trey Turner last year too. And he was like, this guy wasn't that great. You remember he missed a couple of weeks last year, and he was good toward the end of the season, but he didn't have an amazing season, not like Trey Turner type season. If he got Trey Turner this year because he dropped a little bit in the draft, and he's like, I'm done. I'm done with this guy. He's good, but he's not great. Like it wasn't worth the draft pick. And so what happened? He's trading him to me. That's right. So I'm gonna have Trey Turner. I'm not worried about Trey Turner. I think he'll be fine. So nope. I'm not quite ready to say he's a buy low because he hasn't done poorly enough that I feel people are panicking. Maybe people are. Maybe there's more than just Chris that are worried about Trey Turner. So if you can get him on the cheap, definitely do it. I'm not worried. Yeah. What about Curtis Mead? Look, Curtis Mead, I knew not to get in on because he's a Ray. Rays do funky things with their position players, which is also why, as much as I like Jonathan Aranda, I didn't go out and blatantly recommend him this preseason. I can't claim that I did because I didn't, because I'm like, I don't know if he's getting regular playing time. And he has, and he's taken advantage of it. And Curtis Mead, I mean, I think that he actually could perform if he was given maybe some consistency, maybe some confidence. You know what I mean? Of course, you got to do something with the big club to earn those at-bats. But, yeah, I don't know. It's just, you know how some teams, they just jerk their prospects and up and down, back and forth, send them down, bring them up, send them down, play one day, sit the next, pinch hit, play second, play third, play. That's got to be hard on some young players. So I don't know what he was on this spring, but the talent is there. Talent's always been there. I mean, this is a guy who maybe just needs a reset. You know what I mean? Just give him to someone else and let him take off there. All right. So Anthony also wants to know about Baldwin. That's what I have heard, that he's going to maybe just stick around to DH. I mean, they do need a backup catcher, and Drake Baldwin should be that guy. So, yeah, I think they keep him around unless he goes ice cold. But obviously his fantasy value, even in two catcher leagues, it's disappearing because Sean Murphy has been so good. Ozuna is healthy. He's their DH. And when Acuna is back, there's just not going to be any place for him in the lineup. So I think they keep him around. But again, for our sake, it doesn't really matter even if they do, as long as Murphy's healthy. All right, Lou. What's up, Lou Hamilton? Yep, Seager to the IL. So you got Caballero, Pena, Acuna, and Josh Smith are on waivers. Well, Josh Smith now is going to get some more at-bats because of the Seager injury. He doesn't ever excite me, but he kind of did get the job done a little bit last year. So I'm okay with him. I'd like to say Acuna, but now with McNeil back and they don't seem to be getting him regular at bats. He's got the speed. I think he's also somebody that if he he got extended run, he could do something and hold down a job. But even best case scenario, he's batting ninth. So I don't think you can go for Acuna. Pena, if you're talking Jeremy Pena, I mean, I like Jeremy Pena, and I liked him a lot also this draft season. I thought he might be a nice value, I guess you could say. I mean, there's not going to be any breakout happening, but his power numbers could and maybe should actually jump up based on what I saw from last year. So I'm going to go with Pena. Caballero is kind of a nice Swiss Army nice to have. You can stick him wherever you need to if you are in a pinch. But if I want somebody to man shortstop for the next week, 2 weeks, however long Corey Seager takes this time, I think I prefer Pena. All right. Let's go to Rua. Hope for Lou Bob and the Martian. Hap for Lou Bob. I don't know why I said hope. Hap. Ian Happ is he's Ian Happ. He's fine. He's solid. Like he's a guy you don't really think much about. He's never really, really high, really, really low. He always kind of helps a little bit in every category. I'm still holding out hope that the Martian is a breakout. So I think I would. I don't know which side you're getting. If you're asking to give up Hap, I think that's fine. I would do that. I'm going to take a chance on the breakouts. Go for the young players here. So I think that's fine. All right, let's do Louis Minuto. What is the panic meter on Santander, Henderson, and Riley Green? Well, Riley Green wasn't on the panic video. He was on the buy low video from today. But that's because some people might be panicking. He hasn't been as bad, as some of these other players. I don't think he should full out panic. He's been cold. There's no doubt. His rolling ex-WOBA is, very downward trajectory. He's in the blue. It's going to come back up. I'm not panicked. If you're asking me how panicked I am on Riley Green, honestly, it's like a 3. And I'm going to stick with that. Henderson, if we're talking gunner, it's like a 1. Santander is different. I actually talked about Santander maybe 2 weeks ago. And I said it's probably like what did I say? Maybe 7.5 or an 8. But that's also not that high because I didn't draft Santander because I kind of saw this coming. I don't think we're getting close to a 40 homer season. So I'm not panicked about him. I'm just kind of avoiding him. I don't know if that makes you feel better. But I'm not worried at all about those last 2. Maybe that makes you feel better. All right, we got BTC made, Singer Fott, and Gossman for Cease and Baz. Ooh, that's an interesting deal. Give me the Cease and the Baz side because you're getting the best pitcher in that deal. I will take Cease over Gossman. Gossman has been solid. He'll continue to do what he's doing, but Cease just better, more upside, higher strikeout rate, obviously. And I still like Baz. I think Baz can outperform Fott the rest of the way. And Singer, to me, is just kind of a back-end rotation guy. He's fine, but not a needle mover. So give me the Cease side. Obviously, the first side is safer, but safe doesn't win fantasy leagues. Anthony wants to know if we're prepared for a Class IL stint. I hope not. I mean, if so, I haven't heard that there's anything to panic about here. I mean, if there's something that happened today that I don't know about, but I haven't heard anything about Klaus. I know you're thinking, well, maybe he's just off. There's something going on. Okay, shoulder discomfort. Well, it's possible. It's always possible. If so, Cade Smith becomes, obviously top priority ad. So we should always be prepared when there's anything going on with the shoulder. So I'm glad you brought that up, Anthony. I hadn't seen that, honestly. So if you don't have Cade Smith already and you do have Klaus, I think this is probably the time to get him before that happens. So I'm glad you mentioned that. Sean Pickens, Buxton, Dominguez, or Cruz. Oh, you have to drop one. Oh man. Well, Cruz is now finally making that decision tough because a week ago this would have obviously been Dylan Cruz, but again, I wasn't saying to go out and drop him because we knew that he has the ability to turn it around and he's turning it around. So I don't think now that he's finally hitting, you can drop Cruz. And I don't want to drop the Martian. I'm okay dropping Buxton because I mean, come on. But Anthony's asking, are we preparing for a Klaus IL stint? I'm always preparing for a Byron Buxton IL stint because it always happens. I mean, any day now, right? He made that diving catch. Was it yesterday? I'm almost shocked he didn't get hurt making that catch. So look, I'm okay dropping Buxton. I just am. All right, I think I already answered. Yeah, I already answered these. Ooh, aces for Alamosa. Drop Baz for Meyer. Man, again, you can't have them both. I don't want to overreact to Baz's last start. I know it was bad, but he was great. He was amazing in the first two. It happens. It's regression. I think you got to get Meyer. I think you have to get Meyer. So I don't want to drop Baz, but if that's your worst pitcher, then you know what? You're in a good spot. So go ahead and do it. Alyssa, what's up? Welcome back, Alyssa. Dolphin Cloud. It's been a while since I've seen you. Is it okay to pick up Kurtz, also have Freeman at first base and Soderstrom utility? Yeah, it's more than okay to pick up Kurtz. Now, again, sometimes if you're like, well, I'm not gonna sit Freddie Freeman. Of course you're not. I don't care what prospect it is. And Soderstrom, you can't sit him. He's been so hot. Even if you don't have a spot for him, you still pick him up because you don't know the next time Freddie Freeman, gets a ankle injury because of whatever is happening, waffle stomping, whatever. Just Soderstrom, he might cool down. Guys get hurt, and you know what? You pick up a good player so that somebody else can't have him. I'm sorry, you can just do that. This is a competitive thing. I had absolutely no need. I really didn't have like maybe a spot for Chandler Simpson on one of my leagues. I picked him up anyways. I picked him up so that I had him and somebody else didn't. There's nothing wrong with that. So yeah, look, here we go. Thank you for saying in a very succinct way what I was trying to say. F. You load up on talent, you worry about it later. That's it. And honestly, there are just so many injuries. You can never have too much of anything, really. All right, let's do a couple more here. We're an hour plus. Rua, O'Neill Cruz for sale or Strider. Ooh, I think that's fair. I mean, I really think it is. Cruz is, he's going to help you in your rotor leagues, but he's no sure thing. I think that's fair. If you need pitching and you are fine swapping out whatever position you're using Cruz for, I think that's fine. I mean, I do like O'Neill Cruz too, but I think that's a reasonable trade. All right, Jared wants to know a good IL pitcher to pick up. Well, I did mention Arrighetti. He's a guy I haven't dropped. I know I could drop, maybe should drop, but I'm keeping him. Yeah, I would drop Grayson Rodriguez. So I typically don't even just pick up IL pitchers. I just don't. There are a couple of exceptions, but usually if a guy's good enough that he's worth keeping, even when he's hurt, then he's not on waivers because whoever's got him is keeping him or you're keeping him. You know what I mean? So very rare that I'll actively seek out an injured pitcher to pick up. And then, okay, July Long Cobb. Should I drop Anthony Volpe? No, I would not do that. Volpe has been pretty productive. I know that lately, he and some of the Yankees have not been red hot, but man, look, he 4 home runs, 3 stolen bases, the runs and the RBIs. I mean, he's helping basically everywhere except batting average. It would be nice if the batting average was high, but that's the trade-off, right? Not everybody can be a 5-category stud. But nah, don't drop Anthony Volpe. All right, y'all want to know what the trade is? Okay, fine. You want to know who did I get? I'll tell you the full trade here. And no, this is not a fleece. I think it could be win-win. So I'm actually giving up Freddie Freeman to get Trey Turner and Jake Meisterberger. I have not given up on Jake Berger. I don't have to start him every day, but he's not going to be my starting first baseman if that's what you worry. He's not my Freddie Freeman substitute. I have Kyle Manzardo, so I'm fine starting Manzardo for now at first base. And if I can put Berger in there, then yeah, I'll do it. But I also have Luis Arraez, who I know right now is on IL. He can play first base, so I don't have to play Berger, but I still believe in Berger. And again, I'm buying low. I'm getting a guy who is ice cold. I still think he's good enough to have a 30 home run season. Trey Turner for Freddie Freeman feels pretty fair. All right, last couple here. Let's do. It was not a fleece. It is not a fleece whatsoever. What is up? Earl Bunyan, he's in our league. Big matchup this week against Skull and Bones. Well, we'll see. It's early. It is early. I'm not looking good, but it's way too early. So let's see. Today, we're tied in home runs. We're tied in steals. You're whooping me in batting average. Man, my pitching. Okay, I might as well just pack it in because, man, did my pitchers suck yesterday. My ERA is at 8.22, so I don't even know if it matters who else I got going. I can't recover from that. So, but we'll see. It's still early. It's still early, Earl. I can catch up. Let's see. James, again, thank you. Would you trade Bryce Harper and Trey Turner for Kyle Tucker if you have Bobby Witt and Vlad and Alonso? Okay, so you're giving up both the Phillies for Kyle Tucker. I feel steep. Like, I know Kyle Tucker's is right there. Like I talked about the big three. I mean, obviously you got Judge Ohtani, Bobby Witt, and like Kyle Tucker's right there below them or right with them. I don't know. That still feels like a lot. And again, I'm not looking at Trey Turner as like a second tier player. You know what I mean? He's still a 5 category contributor. I think he will still be fine. And Bryce Harper's Bryce Harper. So I'd like to get something else back. Maybe it's a young pitcher that can help you, something. So I see where you're going with this. And I know you're like, well, look at my roster. I'll still be fine here, here, and here. But I just want a little bit more back. Thoughts Tribal wants to know about Devers. Yeah, you can bench him. I mean, you can bench him for now. My panic level is down a little bit on him. I still don't know if we see the best version of Rafael Devers, but I think he'll be okay. So, I mean, what can you do? You can't sell right now. You maybe shouldn't sell right now. Just wait for him to snap out of it. Honestly, sometimes that's all you can do. That's all you can do. All right, then Yui wants to know, better add Josh Smith, Gabriel Arias, or Cam Smith. Arias is interesting, but as much as his manager says he loves him and he's like the best player in the world, he's not playing him every day. So I'm not all in on Arias. Smith is fine, but I think actually Cam Smith, he's turning it around. They just said they might playing him in center field a little bit more. It's like they want to keep him in the lineup. That means they believe in him. The talent is there. Let's go Cam Smith here. Let's go for the upside. And then Aces also concerned about Jordan Alvarez. Don't be. He'll be fine. I'm almost ready to put him on the buy low. But again, I feel like a guy who's your first round pick, a guy who's a proven, not just hitter, but crusher of the baseball, you really shouldn't worry about, but people do. So, I mean, look, if he's cold and you want to bench him, I can't argue with that. But man, don't worry about Jordan Alvarez. If he's actually healthy, that's it. And then, does anyone care about Alec Burleson? Yeah, I hate to say, but I really don't. I kind of don't. Sorry. And let's see. Let's end actually. Okay, hold on. I want want to try to do a couple. Let's do lightning round. Just me. Do we sell high in Bubich? If you can sell high, sure. I don't know how high you can a price you can command for him, but sure, I'm fine with it. You know, a guy comes out of nowhere. I always tend to err on the side of caution. Doyle, do I drop Marcus Simeon? No, don't drop him. Don't drop him. He might be snapping out of it, especially. Okay, and then Alberto. Torque and Fitzgerald for Westberg. Ooh, now I did just call Westberg a buy low, and I still like me some Westberg. But if Torkelson's breakout is legit, and I like Fitzgerald, yeah, I kind of like that first side a little bit better, honestly. It's riskier, but what am I going to say? No risk it, no biscuit. Owen, trade Luzardo for Bryce Miller. Give me Bryce Miller still. Sorry, I'm not going to overreact to the first 4 starts of the season and say that's it. Luzardo's better. He's an ace. I've seen Jesus Luzardo enough to know that even though the stuff is filthy sometimes, he is prone to injury. He could be inconsistent. So great start for him. I'm in on Luzardo. I've been in on Luzardo, but I'm still more in on Bryce Miller. I'm not sure what's wrong with Bryce Miller, but I'm just going to keep my confidence in him. Jack Little, would you drop Lourdes Gurriel for Manzardo or Story? Yes, either, both. Story first, Manzardo second. Yeah, I mean, I like all those other guys that you have, but you can definitely drop Gurriel. And you might want to trade Santander. I guess I should say sell low on Santander. And then let's give the last word to Anthony, but also perfect segue. Tomorrow, we'll be doing an NFL draft live stream. This is an annual ritual for me and Chris. It's been, I don't know how many years, last several years. We go live. So as soon as the first pick is on the clock, as soon as the draft is starting, not all that pregame stuff, but as soon as the draft actually starts, we will be live. So if you guys, even if you're not a crazy football fan, maybe you don't follow the NFL draft, just hang out with us. Hang out and see what happens, because we will be not only breaking down what happens, but telling you what it means for fantasy, reacting, just having fun, just watching the NFL draft. So you plan on watching the NFL draft anyways, have the draft on your TV and have us on your phone, your computer, your iPad, whatever, and you can hang out with us. Let us know if you're there. Anthony, figure you'll be there. Appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. And by the way, another live stream will be on Sunday night. As always, we talk about 2 start streamers for the week, the ones for the upcoming week, guys that you should be picking up. Speaking of pickups, the next video will be the waiver wire video that comes out on Friday. And a lot of the players y'all just asked about, I'm going to break down for you, tell you who I actually think is worth picking up. And check out all the other videos that are already out. Appreciate you guys very much. We'll see you on the next one.